Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Grimm Chronicles. I'm the Grimm Reader, and this is my booktube channel. This is going to be episode 32, so week 32. We're in the 33rd week, looking back. I think that's right. So yeah, my weekly reading wrap up. First off, the audio. Where am I with my audio reads? I have made the transition from the ebook of The Stand by Stephen King to the audio version because it frees me up to read other things. That being said, I preferred reading it. I am not a big fan of I don't think it's the person's fault necessarily. Maybe it is. It's a mixture of the person, the narrator, and also Stephen King's writing. For example, when so there's this one main female character who I actually really did kind of like when I read the book, but now she's turned into too much of a cliche girlfriend, housewife, cooking for her husband, although they're not really married, character. I mean, she's just a little bit too traditional. I don't know. And I really liked her in the early sections, specifically when we got her diary entries. Her name is Franny. And so and it's a male narrator, and whenever he tries to switch on the Franny voice, it kind of is a little cringy. So she's just one character of many in this book. And in general, the narration, for example, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that King is not the best writer of romance or, for lack of a better term, sexy stuff. Whenever it gets to that, it just gets kind of, and specifically when listening to it, when I'm reading it, it's whatever, I don't notice it as much, but listening to this person trying to kind of do the voices, it's just kind of like a mixture of eye-rolling and cringy. But that being said, it's actually really, what's going on is still the plot, King is a plot writer, he does pretty well with characters, well enough or good enough. But you kind of keep on reading and listening because you want to know what's going to happen. And that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm still happy that I made it, even though I think if under different circumstances of, being less, I think if in a way I would like to continue reading it, but I want to get to other things. And it is a very long book, and so I think it's okay. I think I made the right decision. And I could do that because my husband finally finished it. And now he's back to the book that I DNF'd, which is the next episode of Patrick O'Brien, the Maturin books, Aubrey Maturin. What else? So that's that. And then, so that means that the sixth, the story of the Mitford sisters, it's also a little bit on hold, and there I have to say I have a feeling I would have preferred reading that too, because I actually think the writing isn't bad, but I'm not loving the narration. The narrator who puts on this really over-the-top accents for the different people in the book, and a lot of them are kind of upper-class British people, and I think she kind of overdoes it. So I'm not a big fan of the narration. I think I would have preferred just reading it. I don't think it's it's not perfect, but they are a very extremely interesting bunch of people, and I kind of want to read more about them. I'm actually interested in Evelyn Waugh, and I do want to read his novel Vile Bodies, which kind of deals with the bright young things, and she talks a little bit in the book about this group of male, often gay, homosexual friends of Nancy Mitford's, and so one of them was, if you think of the Brideshead novel, but for me more recently the TV version, Anthony, I think his name was Blanche, the very over-the-top, kind of flamboyant, homosexual, but very entertaining character. The actor actually reminded me of Tim Curry, but it wasn't Tim Curry, Frankenfurter. I'm a big fan of the Rocky Horror, let's face it. But Anthony Blanche was a very delightful character, kind of sad too. There's a sadness there to his cynicism about whatever, but and so that character is one of connected to the bright young things characters, these men that were around Nancy Bedford. And Nancy seems to be, in a certain sense, the most interesting or it's pretty obvious that she's the most interesting to this particular author of this biography of all of them. I mean, you know, I'll come back to you with more about Unity, the one who was born in swastika Canada and became a fascist, not just a fascist, but an admirer of Hitler. I mean, what a family. So yeah, that's a little bit on hold though, because I kind of want to focus on The Stand, and I'll get back to it though. I was enjoying it up until that point. It kind of was just the right time for me. So those are the audios, and I don't even want to say this, but you know how I was supposed to read Caste by Isabel Wilkerson? I started it, I did my best, but that book and me, I mean, the topic is very interesting, and of course, you know, I'm all for kind of investigations of the horrific horrors of slavery and racism in America, bringing it on. But this book, and I just didn't like the style. I didn't like the anecdotal, the mixture of anecdotal, to my mind, and I hate to say it, somewhat sort of superficial handling of these really serious topics. It seemed like it just was a book that was not written for me. And I know it's totally beloved by a lot of you guys out there, and I just think it's me and not the book. And so, you know, I was sort of picking it up, and then I started reading a little bit in the Angela Davis Women, Race, Class, and I'm like, this is much more up my alley, even though I did put that one aside too. But it has footnotes, it has quotes. I like footnotes, I like quotes, I like I like when people are sort of grounding what they're saying in history in a kind of like, you know, if for lack of a better term, academic history. And Caste is just very sort of anecdotes, and then the whole sort of analogy of the different castes, so Nazi Germany, in India, and then America. I mean, I didn't really give it I didn't go into it deep enough to be able to form a clear opinion, but I was already finding specifically an article by an Indian scholar who was kind of like, wait a minute here with the caste thing, you know, that's like thousands of years old. And so, and I don't want to come off as like, oh, she can't do that. It's like, sure, you can do that. I mean, if you convince me through your writing or I wasn't convinced yet, but you know, is it an allegory? Is it a metaphor? I'm sorry, I hate to be so negative on it. Plus, I just wasn't enjoying it, and I was bored because really, this is really me. This is not. I have a hard time with a lot of nonfiction, specifically of I have had a hard time with both of the Patrick Mead-Keefe books, the one about the Troubles, and now the one about the Empire of Pain, the Empire of, the Oxycontin scandal family, which is also a lot of people like, it was so well written, it was so exciting, it was so wonderful, and I'm sure it is all that. It's just not for me. It's just, I really think I have an issue with a certain type of journalistic nonfiction. So sorry. So I just put it aside. I might come back to it. I know she's coming to give a talk, but we'll see. I don't know. No promises. I'm so sorry. Okay, so that's that. Big fail there. Big fail, and a fail on my part. It's just not for me. What else? And then we're moving on into actually what I'm reading. So another book that's a little bit stalled, but I think I'm not sure. I think I want it, but it's also, it's the memoir. It's the memoir about the lady who marries a Maori and then is kind of integrating her own life story with her husband and the history of New Zealand. Even that is kind of stalled. I just don't go to it. It doesn't suck me in the way that what does suck me in sucks me in, for lack of a better term. And so that's the what's it called? Come on shore and we'll kill you and eat you. So even that's, I don't know if I'll go back to it. I might. I mean, it's on my ebook. I haven't given up completely on that one because it was kind of interesting. I mean, it's not like a complete, I don't want to read this as the cast seems to be. And yeah, I really think it's just, and I think I'm going to go with, you know, I want to read what I want to read, and I'm not going to be beholden to anyone and anything to read things that I want to read. And that may not be very satisfying for some people, and I apologize, but I want to read what I want to read. And what I want to read are these two books. So I have started The Door by Magda Szabo, and I hate to admit it, but I think this is the first Hungarian novel I've ever read in my whole life. Yeah, but so, you know, better late than never, my first Hungarian novel. It's really interesting. It's really giving me this sort of, it's quite creepy in a sense. For some reason, I'm sort of, the description of the main lady, the cleaning lady, well, she's a cleaning lady, kind of gives me like nightmarish vibes, but I'm also kind of intrigued by her, and the writing is very interesting. So I am kind of enjoying the first pages of this. I'm not very far into it. And so then the final thing I'm reading, so I'm reading that. Love it so far. I have been kind of, I joined a group of people somewhere on a certain platform that will not be mentioned. And it's kind of fun to kind of talk to people who all read certain types of genre, not genres, but authors. These are people who like the serious stuff, I guess. It's very male centric, maybe even the group I've joined, but I don't care about that. And for some reason they were talking about this person, and I thought, oh, I have one of their novels on the bookshelf. I'm going to go look at it, and I'm going to start reading it. And I did, and oh my God, it's, yeah, that's great. It's Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. And now it kind of is making me feel bad that I haven't gone to Faulkner more before this. Faulkner's one of my gaps. I love my F. Scott Fitzgerald. I'm very kind of like not excited by Hemingway, but Faulkner's someone I do want to pick up. But that being said, this is amazing. I mean, I'm only on page 48, so pretty early on. It is quite dark and like bloody and gory. There's violence here, but the writing is just like amazing. It reads almost like poetry. And since I'm only on page 48 and I am a slow reader, I'm not going to bore you with details right now, besides the fact that, oh my God, I'm just kind of upset that I didn't start reading Cormac McCarthy sooner than this. And we were sort of on this group of people, we were sort of wondering about where one should start and what Cormac McCarthy one should start with. So I'm actually interested in other people's takes on him. I know he's not completely beloved, but I'm just sort of, and it sort of makes me realize yet again what I kind of already thought, which is if I really enjoy the writing, and I do seem to enjoy highly poetic, highly literary, slowly paced type of stuff, and this fits the bill. This is just like from the first sentence, you know, the first, you know, very poetic and very sad, or dark, stark and dark. Oh, look, there's wolves mentioned even on the first page. He has a thing with wolves, and I do kind of love wolves. Last wolf, I didn't even realize that. And then there's also a lot of star stuff. Sorry, I'm being kind of random here. I'm noticing on the first page they mentioned the Leonids and the stars, and I also love star stuff. Anything astrological, not astrological, astronomical, but maybe astrological, you know. Is it the same thing? No, but his imagery is very, very hypnotic, and so I mean, in a way, not to get too much into the plot very superficially, to me it does read like a sort of very, very poetic western, and I kind of am enthralled or hypnotized by the West, which is why when I remember way back, actually when I was finishing the recognitions early in the year, I started as an audiobook, Lonesome Dove, and I couldn't take the kind of misogynistic, it seemed a little bit too cliche in terms of its depiction of non-Americans, non-whites, and women. Whereas this, I mean, it has some harsh language in here too, and it's not like, I mean, you could make the case it's also kind of, but it's just the writing is so strong and poetic that it's of a different caliber. I mean, I think everyone would agree that Lonesome Dove is not Blood Meridian. I think that's clear. And so, yeah, that's what I'm reading. I'm reading these two. And maybe the other one, although, you know what, these two are going to keep me busy. And I've been having a lot of, so what I'm kind of doing in terms of my reading, I am kind of setting up a more, okay, these are the books, these are the people I want to get to really, really soon, because I haven't and I really wanted to. One of them being the German writer Sebald, W.G. Sebald. I know some people are really bored by him, but I have a feeling I want to get to Sebald and some other people too. So yeah, I apologize for not keeping up with Caste. It's just not for me. And you know, it's very late for a Wednesday, but I did want to get this out there. Things are getting really busy with work. I mean, just busier. It's the nature of the beast. And I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything. Oh, another fail that I'm going to admit to here is, so I don't think I've mentioned this before, but I did talk about the Lafcadio Hearn, the fairy tale book, and I sent that back. I was enjoying them, but I wasn't enjoying them in the sense of wanting to write a review about them. And so I did send the book back and said I don't want to review it. It's just going to be too stressful. And actually, one thing I am kind of getting more into is how to deal with stress and my health issues, and that does involve some reading, actually quite a bit of reading, but most of it is just online. But there will be some books too, perhaps, to do with that whole thing, sort of self-care type stuff. I'm looking over here. I do still have the full books of Lafcadio Hearn that I purchased when I thought I would do the review, but I'm not going to do the review anymore. But that's fine. I still think he's a very interesting person, but I didn't really feel like I wanted to talk about the book itself or the fairy tales themselves, which are, you know, Japanese folk stuff, which, you know, I only have a non-expert opinion on, because I don't study, I don't do research, I don't, you know, I do my thing of the Grimms or whatever. Speaking of the Grimms, I mean, I gave up on the Grimm biography too, and it has to do with the fact that I kind of make this distinction in my head between work reading and non-work reading, and anything to do with fairy tales is, I consider work reading to a certain degree. I mean, I still enjoy it when I have to do it, when I have to get ready for teaching, but since I'm not teaching fairy tales right now, I don't really want to read about the Grimms. I'll come back to them. I think I'm probably going to be teaching fairy tales in the spring. So, yeah. Hope everyone is doing well, and I hope my idiosyncratic meanderings through what we need to read. Oh, well, one last thing I will mention, it is connected to a little bit to the group that but not only tangentially, I can't speak anymore, it's post evening wine, so you know what I mean. So something came up where on Twitter I asked for World War II novels, and I got a slew of recommendations. Some of the books are, you know, that the calibers in terms of literary quality or literariness is, I know there's this one book that I think Sean, I remember saying that he hated All the Light We Cannot See. Some people hate that. I have everything, I would hate it too, but I don't know. But then there's a lot of actually really good stuff too. Primo Levi and things I didn't know about really well. Anyway, so there's a whole big list of World War II novels that are now on my homepage, because the only way I could sort of easily share it with everyone was to put it on my Google Sites page, which I will link in my little description box. So if you want to see a list of what Twitter people recommend for World War II reading, go to that, and specifically novels, fiction. And so the one final thing I thought I wanted to sort of end on here regarding this list of novels is that no one mentioned a book that I guess doesn't really kind of count as a World War II narrative, but I do think is a wonderful a narrative of World War II, but before and after, and that is the big read that I had a couple years ago, Uwe Jansson's Anniversaries, which takes place, it's a sort of diary inserts August of 1968, but a lot of it deals with the main character's kind of, specifically her father's, what they have to sort of go through during the war in these northern eastern villages of Germany. And I actually think it is a really good World War II novel of a certain kind. And then I was sort of thinking of other World War II novels. I mean, I like the big ones that some people mentioned. Slaughterhouse-5 is fine. Catch-22 is excellent, I think. And, well, there is a non-fiction trilogy of Germany's stuff in the war, history of Germany in the war. Richard Evans has a whole trilogy of, I forget, the Third Reich rising, like coming to power, the Third Reich in power, and then the Third Reich at war. I think that's what the trilogy is called, and they're very good too, but that's nonfiction. See, that nonfiction, okay, I probably didn't read it cover to cover, but I read big swaths of it. I kind of was sort of auditing a class at the time, so I felt compelled to read it, but it was actually really good, and I did learn a lot. So yeah. Yeah, I think that's all I have for today. I will add this couple of minutes onto it, so it's again quite long, but thank you all for watching, and let me know about your World War II reading or your thoughts on Cormac McCarthy. The Door, I know, has a lot of fans, and yeah, I hope everyone is doing well. And am I the only one who's kind of excited for fall? Okay, granted that September is my birthday month, and yes, by birthday month I mean birthday month. I'm just silly like that, but I'm just ready for summer to be over, because I do really enjoy the fall. Talk to you very soon next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, heck, hey, for all I know, maybe Monday, we'll see. Bye-bye, thank you for watching.